When I think of aliens, I visualize them as like something very green, slimy with big eyes.
Oh yeah, actually that's true. What do you think, Han Jun?
Okay, see, here's the tricky conspiracy theory part, right? If aliens have been controlling the world, let's say we are all like operating under the powers of aliens, then we wouldn't actually be able to figure out what aliens look like, because they would have figured out a way to make sure we can never figure out how they look like, so they can keep controlling the human race. That's the tricky bit about like an alien conspiracy theory, but.
Hello everyone and welcome to Mic on Brain Off, the official interview of the SIS Social Club. I'm Rania.
And I'm Megan.
So, today's interview topic will be about conspiracy theories. To basically summarize, conspiracy theories is basically a theory that explains an event as the result of a powerful group. These theories are usually politically motivated. Today, we are joined with the knowledgeable Han Jun, and we will be asking him questions and his opinions on some of the most well-known yet controversial conspiracy theories. Han Jun, would you like to give us a brief introduction about yourself?
Yep. Hello, I'm Han Jun. Yeah, I'm currently Vice President of High School Student Council, so that's Poggers. Yep.
Woo! Okay.
That's my claim to fame. I'm also generally awesome.
Oh, okay.
That's great to hear that. Okay, while we're on the subject of conspiracy theories, have you seen any documentaries regarding to any conspiracy theories?
I think in terms of documentaries, a lot of the stuff I've been watching recently is like history, but they're like, I guess, loosely related to the idea of conspiracy theories. I think the most interesting one I've seen recently was, and the thing is, right, it was written by this guy who's a relatively, I guess, well-known person, and he's like quite reputable, I guess, in terms of history academics, and he like essentially published a small documentary talking about how parts of Hitler's body still exist today.
Wow.
It was burned and turned into ash. It still exists today, and apparently in Germany, out of all places. So.
Oh, okay.
Oh wow, that's
some new information for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any conspiracy theories out there that you genuinely feel like it's true, or do you have a personal belief?
In terms of conspiracy theories, I think it's like you can't like outright say that any of them are like true or false. I think a lot of them, they get mixed up with a lot of part truth, part fiction, and it's the fact that it has like a half truth element to it that makes it so, I guess, believable, and that's why a lot of people believe in them, I presume. And it's also got like this whole element of mystery to it, like the fact that people don't know a lot about the subjects in general, right? I guess that's why like the Illuminati is so widespread. The idea of the Illuminati, whenever people see something that they don't understand, it also becomes, I guess, susceptible to conspiracy theories. I mean, that's a lot of like the COVID theories now in a nutshell, I guess, when people.
Oh yeah,
don't
true.
understand
I've seen several.
So I wouldn't say like I outright believe in any conspiracy theories, because that's like some of the stuff they believe in. There's like levels, you know. There's like, you have all the flat earthers, and then you have the flat earthers who believe that, like, I don't know, if you actually go off the edge of the earth, there's like something else there, and it's like, I guess there's levels to it. There's conspiracy theorists, and there's conspiracy theorists who make conspiracy theories about conspiracy theories, and I think it's like a rabbit hole. So I wouldn't like outright say I believe in an entire theory, but maybe if like one was particularly convincing, then parts of it I would say, that's true.
Some of it looks very convincing, and you agree of it, yeah? Okay. So let's start off with the big one, aliens.
So Han Jun, do you believe in aliens? Like, do you ever think that aliens will ever like take over the Earth sooner or later?
I mean, in terms of aliens, I guess when we start talking about like a conspiracy like that, I guess the first tricky bit is like how we define an alien, because I guess in terms of like studying a conspiracy theory that has, I guess, roots in mythology, we also do have to like, I guess, figure out what the general idea behind the whole conspiracy theory is. And what I mean to say is like, define the term alien, because I guess the whole notion of the fact that humans have been controlled by some I guess greater external force has been around for like quite a long time. And we have, I guess, a lot of human mythology kind of like promotes that idea, right? And so I'd say this conspiracy theory, it boils down to a lot what you would find a lot more commonly in, I guess, like sociology and human history. So yeah, I guess that's like the first tricky question, right? Like, what do we believe is an alien, so to say? And I guess, if you look at English, like the English language, the term alien is used like very, very loosely, so to say. Like when people refer to an illegal immigrant, they refer to those people as, illegal aliens. And in some case, like that is technically true if you understand the definition of the term alien, something that's foreign. And so I guess that makes like what do we classify aliens as very, very tricky. Like if COVID-19 came from space, right? It was an organism that came from space, and all of us, like, let's say we got it. Well, technically that would count as aliens taking over the world, right? Because, well, it's not from Earth, and well, it took over all of us, but it's not particularly, what some of us might consider, I guess, aliens. And you know which aliens I'm talking about. But
yeah. So like
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, go on.
When I think of aliens, I visualize them as like something very green, slimy with big eyes.
Oh yeah, actually that's true. I also visualize them as some maybe greenish small little creatures that lives on other planets. What do you think, Han Jun?
Yeah. How do you visualize them?
I guess it's like most convenient to imagine them as okay, see, here's the tricky conspiracy theory part, right? If aliens have been controlling the world, like let's say we are all like operating under the powers of aliens, then we wouldn't actually be able to figure out what aliens look like, because they would have figured out a way to make sure we can never figure out how they look like, so they can keep controlling the human race. That's the tricky bit about like the alien conspiracy theory. But yeah, I guess it's best not to. That's alienism, isn't it? To assume that they all look the same.
Yeah, true. There might be like different species, just like animals or something. But like, if like humans ever move to like where aliens like reside, do you think we'll get like kicked off their planet, or do you think we'll live in peace with them?
Well, I guess that's a difficult question, because I think that's also like, well, I mean, we can answer that question by looking at a lot of like human modern politics, I guess, right? It's, I guess, in terms of sociology, how we might explain it is, I guess it comes down to like to see who's, I guess, more intimidated, which is also like, I guess, a sociological idea, which is quote unquote the struggle for culture, right? It's like when two cultures or like foreign ideas meet, then you could say that the immediate response from both of the cultures, I guess, is to come into a conflict to decide whose idea is better. If not, it kind of does inherently wear down one of the legitimacy of one of the two cultures. Or I guess, an example of that would be, let's assume like two people on two separate islands who have like never met, right? One of them eats with like a spoon and fork, another person eats with chopsticks, and one day they both meet, right? So they can either say that, okay, both of these are legitimate methods to eat, but then what that does is that essentially the way this person's been eating with a spoon and fork, he can no longer say that I've come up with the only right method. He's saying I'm in some sense sharing that power, sharing that, I guess, legitimacy with another person. And same thing with the person who's been eating with chopsticks. Or they can fight and see whose idea is better. And whoever's idea is better, well, they get to, I guess, retain all the power, don't they? And so when it comes down to humans meeting aliens, I think that is probably going to be one of the sociological responses from both parties. It's
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, I also agree. Like, do you think that aliens actually live the same life like us humans? Like, do they have their own civilization?
I think, well, it really depends. I guess if we do find them in space, then it really depends on. We could probably figure out a lot of that stuff by just looking at the planet they live on, right? By figuring out, like, I guess, the geography of the planet, the climate, and all of that kind of stuff. We could probably deduce, like, what do they eat, what is necessary for their survival. And based on, like, what's necessary for their survival, we can probably figure out a lot of other things, like, well, how easy is it for them to live, like, to fulfill the basic needs of life, and therefore how easy or how much time do they have to acquire, I guess, luxuries in life. But yeah, I'd say that's probably, like in psychology, we have like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Where it's at the bottom layer you have, or as you progress to the top of the pyramid, you essentially have things which are more associated with luxury, and towards the bottom of the pyramid, it's things where you need to fulfill these things to survive. And I presume that alien species from outer space would probably have to adhere to some kind of similar structure. Yeah.
Okay, enough questions. Let's play a little game. This game is called Would You Rather. Would You Rather is a game where I will give you two choices, and you have to choose between one of the choices that you rather prefer. Okay, so here is the question. If you were offered the chance, would you rather to live Earth forever, to live with the aliens, or encounter aliens on Earth, but only for a short period of time?
Well, I mean, it really does depend on the aliens, I guess.
Yeah. It really depends on their attitudes and movement, the things they do, because we're not really like familiar with that creature, right?
I guess, yeah. I guess the safer option, and the option I'll probably go with, is like being here on Earth and having aliens visit us. I think, well, because I'd say the other option, traveling to an alien inhabited planet, is like high risk, high reward, right? It depends.
Yeah.
Depends how the alien are.
Final choice would be choosing to encounter them in the Earth.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What about Rania?
The same one, because we don't know if they will kill us or something, It's risky if we choose the first one. So it's better if they come to Earth and, like, we have people gang up on them if they, like, bully us or something. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was fun. Now, I think we should talk about a theory that a lot of our audience and us could relate to. That is the missing flight of MH370.
Okay, so MH370 was actually a scheduled international flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing by the Malaysian airline back in 2014. However, less than an hour of taking off to Kuala Lumpur, the plane lost contact with the air traffic control. Authorities claimed that the plane made a U-turn but eventually crashed in the Indian Ocean. So, when I first heard of the news of MH370 was like disappear out of nowhere, I was very shocked because I couldn't imagine that the flight I usually would ride actually have this kind of incident. Yeah, and could you talk about your reaction when you first heard of the MH370?
MH370 was like, whoa, back in 2014, was it? That's like
Yeah.
it's like seven years ago. It's actually like so long ago. I was like only like 8 years old. Yeah, it was like I don't remember because there's MH370 and there was MH317, and MH like 317 was like a few months before that, right? And that was like I think it was shot down in Ukraine after Russia like provoked separatist movements in Luhansk and Donetsk and Crimea, something like that. And yeah, I mean it's such a coincidence, right? And it was like MH317 was shot down on like 17 July, and then like 17, and then months later you have MH370, and it's like
so many.
The number 7. Yeah. It was like the plane, like MH370, they just like disappeared without any traces. Like I heard that they still can't find like some of the parts of the plane still till this day.
I think if I'm not mistaken, there was recently, like I think it was less than a few months ago, they had like another update where they're like, oh, we figured out this new like tracking system to try and locate the parts. But the tricky part about it is that day by day it's getting more like complex, because they have found like parts of that plane on like islands that are like very, very, very far away from the estimated crash site, which just makes the investigation more complicated, because like the tricky bit is they have to factor in like how all the water currents would carry the parts and how it could have possibly gotten to like far away islands. But yeah, if I'm not mistaken, they have found like little bits of like bits and pieces of the plane, and they're like, we're pretty sure it's from this plane.
But I think it's probably like in different places right now since it's been that long. So it's very hard to say that even though we found the pieces there, it's crashed there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we should move on to something more lighthearted. Have you heard of any Walt Disney conspiracy theories?
Don't think. Yeah, I haven't heard of any like appropriate ones. Yeah. all the ones I know are like, I guess, darker.
I mean, like, do you have like a summarized version of like the darker ones? Like, make it appropriate, I guess. Do you have like a summarized one?
Oh my gosh!
Oh,
Really?
oh no! Oh, so like, speaking about Disney conspiracy theories, did you know that Peter Pan is actually the angel of death? In the movie, he portrayed as this person who takes his kids to Neverland, and it's where the lost boys never grow up. Do you think that the Neverland is actually the afterlife? Do you think that Wendy and her siblings died in the movie due to the war that was going on?
Whoa. Yeah, I mean, like, to be honest, I'm not very familiar with like the whole Peter Pan thing, but I guess it is kind of like, a lot of conspiracy theories are based on the elements of, I guess, human culture that we don't understand so well. And the angel of death, it's quite prominent in a lot of the Abrahamic religions, right? So it's a very it's an idea having originated, I guess, in the Middle East and popularized by the Roman Empire. I guess, it's the first one that comes to mind, but I'm assuming predominantly by the Book of Exodus, is it the Book of Exodus? Wait. Yeah, it is the Book of Exodus. It's like, it's like the angel of death. I'm pretty sure was originally like a concept that belonged to Abrahamic religions, and I guess it's really mysterious. And the fact that it's gotten popularized into a lot of conspiracy theories is because of, I'd say, presumably the way like culture evolves, right? It's like it started in a religious text, and then you have all these other interpretations of the religious text, then you have interpretations of interpretations, and the way people analyzed things back then wasn't exactly the most sound, right? It was very reliant on a lot of, I guess, more occult ideas. But I think that would certainly also explain the fact that the angel of death is seen as something that I guess preeminently targets children. I guess in the Book of Exodus, it's like the way it's explained is like you have to paint blood of a sheep on your door. If not, the angel of death will kill your firstborn children. And
Oh my gosh.
yeah, I'm assuming that's why, you know, Peter Pan is like, it's about these children. But yeah, and that, I guess the way we also adopt ideas, the Angel of Death could have very well inspired the whole notion of, I guess, Peter Pan, because, you know, if you've heard of like the psychoanalyst Carl Jung, one of his ideas, or a lot of his work was essentially talking about how that, well, I'm not sure if it was Carl Jung or it dates like back much earlier than him actually, now that I think about it. But it's always been an idea that there are no new ideas. Ideas essentially, we subconsciously take little bits and pieces of them from here and there, and then we kind of like smoosh them together to make new ideas. So there is like nothing that's fundamentally new, no idea that is not based on anything before that, so to say. It's just that everything, quote unquote, new we've experienced is a new combination or something that's a little bit different from previous ideas. And so that would explain the portrayal of Peter Pan as the Angel of Death, right? Because it's like, yeah, this guy comes and takes away children. And yeah, that I guess could very well be it. In terms of like, I guess if we would analyze it from an English literature standpoint, that part I would say, because I guess in English literature you can draw a lot of like parallels between things that don't exist at all. You can make a lot of assumptions based on things you see that you think are meant to mean one thing, but in reality they mean another. It's like, I guess, yeah, it's like what the author's intent on the reader was versus what the actual effect on the reader was. And so it's quite hard to determine, but I would say I wouldn't like cross it out altogether. It might be true. It would be quite interesting if it was true. And I guess it has like a lot of,
I mean, like back in the
days, well, not repercussions, but things happen as a result of the fact that if it were to be true, you know.
I mean, like back in the days, there wasn't like things like censorship. So as time passed, there things are being like censored. So I guess they tweak it so that to make like Disney shows to like, you know, look good in children's eyes. So while we're still on this topic about Disney like shows, Walt Disney passed away in 1966. But then there are some like conspiracy theories that his body is actually frozen in a hidden vault in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland. Like some also believe that the Frozen movie was made so that to hide like the stories and articles of his frozen body in Google. So what, like, have you heard of this? What do you think of it?
Yeah, like the whole Frozen thing is actually, honestly, it's like a genius like strategy. If his body is actually frozen somewhere in California, but it's actually very genius. You know, it's like when you Google Walt Disney Frozen, it's no longer Walt Disney's frozen body, but it's the movie Frozen.
Yeah.
That is really like
genius plan.
Very.
And I mean, yeah, that is just like wow. But a lot of conspiracy theories like this are, I guess they're like tricky, right? And one of the things it shows us, I guess, is that conspiracy theories or conspiracy theorists, they come like far and wide. It's like you have the people who believe that the moon landing was fake, and then you have people who believe that we had cryogenic technology back in 1966, right? And it's like, it's, I guess, two ends of the same coin. And because honestly, it's quite interesting, like, to see Walt Disney come back to life, because I'm pretty sure, like, you know, he himself had like some pretty, I guess, like, interesting ideas. I'm not sure if it was Florida or in California, but he had like this plan to make like a Disney city where essentially he like designed the city from the ground up, and it was meant to have like all this and that stuff. And people have drawn parallels to the fact that it was almost like him coming up with a little dictatorship that he had of like this city, and it's like quite dystopian, I guess. It's like, the temple of Disney. But you know, he died before he could have like figured any of that out. But it's like really surreal. I think he planned everything. He planned like his own Disney currency, his own like Disney buildings, and it was yeah.
He's a really smart guy. Yeah, like why do they like use frozen to like want to cover it up? Like the fact that his body is actually frozen underneath Disneyland.
Because like assuming that it's true, it's like, you know, the fact they tried to cover up means that something not very good is going on, you know, about concerning Walt Disney's frozen body, right? It's like, what if they unfroze him and he's been pulling the strings from behind the shadows? But
wow, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's so it's hard to say really, I guess, because we wouldn't know.
True.
But that's the whole basis of the conspiracy theory, I guess. Like the fact that we wouldn't know, and that's just what makes it believable.
It sounds very fake and real at the same time, right?
So, just a disclaimer, these theories are just theories, and so they're not really the truth, and it's all opinion-based and just for fun. We hope everyone is staying safe during this pandemic, and thank you for listening to Mic On, Brain Off, and we hope everyone's safe and happy. If you want to suggest any topics for our next interview, remember to type it in our IG Story topic question sticker, or you can email us at sassocialclubofficial@gmail.com. And if you liked this interview, also make sure to check us out on Instagram at SS Social Club, YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, Mic On, Brain Off. Stay tuned for future episodes, and we'll see you soon. Bye! Mic off, brain on.